Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bowtie Security Guy After Dark. I believe it's episode 24, 25. I don't know. I am incredibly excited because this is our first episode with our new sponsor, which ironically, our guest has a little bit of connection with them, which is ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker is the newest sponsor of Bowtie Security Guy. I absolutely love ThreatLocker because of what they do for the community. Not only do they have an awesome product that's all about default deny, zero trust, and making it easy, they also are constantly innovating, constantly driving people, and constantly hiring and looking for new talent and fostering and mentoring and growing. And when they reached out and said, "Hey, we'd love to kind of, sponsor your stuff," I was ecstatic because they're a super cool company. So definitely check out threatlocker.com/careers. And if you want a demo, definitely set up some time because it is one of the easier endpoint protection products out there that will make your security team absolutely love you because it makes zero trust easy. With that said, Robert had no idea that my sponsor was ThreatLocker. Ironically, though, Robert Potter, the security wizard, is my guest. And ironically, I ended up getting this sponsorship because I talked to somebody at ThreatLocker about you. And we'll get to kind of where your career is currently, but it's let's start from the beginning. What like kind of led you into technology? You started, you had a pretty decently long military career, then you went into the electrical field. Like what changed? What made you decide to chase cyber?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. Basically, what got me interested in cyber, I was sitting at work one day and, my shoulders were starting to hurt, things like that. I was like, I don't think I could do this electrician thing forever. It becomes harder and harder on your body as you go along. So I was like, let me start looking. I've always been sort of interested in IT. Back when I was a kid, I was hacking into computers and things like that, finding a way around the computer's endpoints and trying to figure out how to be able to play games on the school computers and stuff like that. So, yeah, a little bit of mischief, but basically, yeah, I've always been interested in IT. I've always been the family IT guy. When I turned 18, I sort of went to school for it, but being a dumb 18-year-old at the time wasn't in the cards at the time. So, um, but I decided to revisit it, and I decided to start taking care of or start taking advantage of some of my military benefits and things like that. So,
Nice. Well, what
I,
like what did you do security in the military? You were in the Air Force for what, 4 years?
yeah,
Or
four
almost 4 years?
years. Yeah, just about 4 years. I was actually security forces, so I was law enforcement in the military. So I
Oh,
have more of
interesting.
a physical security background than an IT background, but we also used to deal with access, sort of installation access and things like that, doing background checks on people. So there's a lot of physical security stuff, perimeter checks, things like that. So yeah, we
How
just
how did that translate kind of with kind of getting a gig in security? What skills do you think have been transferable? I mean, even your electrician skills, like have you found any sort of skills that are transferable? I'm just
yeah.
curious.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as an electrician, we run a lot of layer one stuff. We would set up cages and set up all the server rooms and computer rooms, get everything set up for you guys to come in behind us and sort of put all the configurations and stuff like that in. So, knowing how to lay out things, the proper cages to use, the proper getting all the sound equipment, audio equipment, plus the servers and everything else into a room and just terminating cables, that sort of thing. So all that is kind of transferable into the IT field as well, just because you may have to do that work at some point. So just gives me a little
I,
bit ahead.
well, I think, yeah, and I think having some of those basic kind of core skills. One of the things that really was impressive about you, I think we met probably what, like a year ago. I started working with you and mentoring you,
Yeah.
and you were like, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna chase this full time. And I'm like, you're insane. Like, don't do that. Please don't do that. And you're like, nope, I think I'm gonna do it. Like, what? what caused you to kind of really chase this kind of as aggressively as you did? And what are some things that you think maybe some of the people listening who are newer could kind of learn from that? Because, man, you came to me like you were like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this security wizard stuff." Like, I'm like, "Hell yes, that's awesome, Robert Potter. Why wouldn't you? That's fantastic." And then you branded your page, and then I worked with you to help you build some stuff, and like you just hit it so hard. Um, but like, what's one of the things that you like kind of did first? What was that first step into like really taking it serious?
So I actually talked to one of my friends and who's a network admin for the government right now. And he actually kind of offered me my first sort of opportunity. He was like, if you can get Sec Plus, I can probably get you a help desk job and things like that. But the main thing that sort of interested me, like I said, I was sort of dealing with a stall in my career essentially, and being ex-military, I've always been sort of mission driven. What's the
Yeah.
next big thing, pushing myself to always do better, essentially. So I started listening to like one of the first things I started watching like podcasts and stuff on, what's the hot thing in IT right now. So obviously cybersecurity came up and they're
Yeah.
like,
And
listen
then
to Dark.
yeah, listen to Darknet Diaries and then buy these thousands of dollar courses to get your degree,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I did listen to Darknet Diaries and I was like, dude, this stuff is fascinating to me.
Hell yeah.
So,
I
I
love
started
Darknet
listening to
Diaries.
that. It's great.
It is.
He's such a good storyteller. But yeah, so I started doing that and then I actually spoke to someone on the cybersecurity team at Disney and he was like, in order to work for us, you're going to have to get a degree and stuff like that. And I was kind of like dubious because all these podcasts like, oh, you can get in without a degree. You can just do certs and it'll be easy. Be like, okay,
Mhm.
well, I tried to go down that route and get the cyber, and everyone was just like, no, sorry, you don't know enough. So,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, what do I do now? So I was like, well, I'm just gonna follow his advice. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to school. So I enrolled in Full Sail University. I've been doing that for like 6, 7 months now. I
Yeah.
think I'm into my program. I'm almost done with my first academic year. So that's been pretty good. And then I basically just kept pushing myself and I was like, all right, even though I'm in my first year of college, I was like, I know experience is king. So I was like, all right, I need to start looking for my first gig. I need to start looking for that first job.
Yeah.
Because
Well, and you put yourself out there, right? Like I saw you at all the meetups. I saw you and we talked about it kind of early on. I remember pacing around my garage talking to you. I was working on a project. And I was like, you need to get out there. You need to go meet people. You need to do that. And you're like, well, here's some of the things that I've been thinking about. Here's what I'm already doing. And I'm like, awesome. And then volunteer your time, meet with people. Yeah, it's kind of it sucks that you have to kind of do that to stand out, but that's the market right now. There's so many people like you who want a job. Um, how do you stand out? And the way you did that is you started to build a brand and a
Mhm.
reputation. And it was funny because I ran into you at B-Sides. I don't think we'd ever actually met in person at that time. We talked many times on LinkedIn. We've chatted on the phone multiple times. Um, but we'd never actually met in person. And you like handed me my badge, and I was like, "Oh, hey!" Like I was super excited. And I saw other mentees that were there too, volunteering time. And I had ran into somebody at ThreatLocker, and they used to work with me at Disney at the help desk. And they're like, "Yeah, we're doing a big hiring thing. I heard you've got this podcast thing. I would love to, if you have anybody." And I was like, "Dude, Robert's here. Like, let me go introduce you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, we already talked to Robert. Like, he's already interviewed." And I was like, "What? That's awesome." Um, and the first opportunity didn't work out. Then you interviewed at another place. That didn't work out. Like, what was kind of going through your head each time you get these, like, no, or you get these rejections? And how did you kind of bounce back from those rejections and just kind of keep powering through? Do you think a lot of that is just that military might where you just basically don't have quit in you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of it. And then, the interviews that I did get, eventually I did wind up getting feedback from everybody. And, I was just like, I just got to do a little bit better, a little bit better. And hopefully,
Yeah.
something will break eventually and something, a role will come out. And luckily, I was like, all right, I heard about the Threat Locker hiring event that they had, and I was like, okay, well, let me go to this and see how this turns out. They were also doing a boot camp at the same time, so I decided, I'm going to sign up for their boot camp as well. Again, and like you were saying with the volunteering, I was volunteering at B-sides. I also go to like two or three different meetups every single month, to
Right.
rub elbows and things like
How many
that. And
people, let's kind of talk about that. How many people, like, so you've now ended up scoring a job, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because this whole us talking was kind of just happenstance. I was like, oh no, I had a guest cancel, and I was like, oh, you know what? I want Robert to come on and tell the story. And it just so happens that your new company is also my new sponsor, which is super, like, just kind of ironic more than anything. But let's talk about kind of when you go to these meetups, like, how many people have you said, hey, you should come out to these meetups, and how many people actually show up?
yeah, I mean that's kind of I've actually been trying to do my part in growing the community and stuff by,
Yeah,
telling everyone I've met, like, hey, I go to these meetups, you should come out and, meet
yeah,
people. It's got to be at least 10, 15 people that I've gotten to actually show up at these meetups. So I've actually grown these groups
yeah.
substantially. And then also on top of that, um, oh man, I just lost my train of thought.
No, you're
Um,
right. On top of that, you've continued to give back and kind of work with different people. I've seen you working with another group I'm on the board of, which is the Ginger Hacker Collective, Ginger Hacker Initiative, and
yeah,
like that charity group. I see you helping mentor people in there and kind of already giving back. I think that's the key, right? That's what this whole community is about, is constantly growing, constantly helping others and being part of the community. What I've seen is a lot of people they'll get out of college and they just kind of expect an opportunity to happen. And you're a perfect example of not waiting for an opportunity to happen, but making it happen. Right.
yeah,
I even told you when you told me what you were doing, and I said you were crazy, and I said, look, I have no doubt that you're going to get a job in cyber because you're not going to quit until you do.
yeah,
Um, and you've done that in what most would consider insanely record time, right?
yeah. It was
But yeah, I mean, it was like what, a year and a half,
a
maybe?
year and I think 2 months, a year and two
Right?
months it took me to
Yeah.
finally from zero to, to actually getting and breaking into cyber and be getting in with a cybersecurity company, essentially.
And luckily enough, you're in Orlando. We've got a great cyber market here. And one of the ones who hires the most is obviously ThreatLocker. Um, but they hire the best of the best, right? They're looking for that talent. They're looking for people who are driven. They're looking for people who are striving to kind of grow and really advance their careers, because they're growing super fast.
Yes.
So you were able to kind of, how did that original opportunity kind of even work out? Like, how did you even hear about the event, and how did you get introduced to the company that you're with now? Because I'd love to hear that story, because this is where I think a lot of people miss the boat, is they're waiting for roles to be posted, they're waiting for things to kind of show up, and then they apply and they do nothing. How did you meet with the ThreatLocker team originally? Did you just hear about the event and just show up?
No, it was actually one of the Orlando meetups, the CitrusSec meetup. A lot of the Threat Locker guys go to that, and I just decided one day I was looking for, like I said, new groups and stuff to go to. and I found CitrusSec, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna show up and see what everybody does, see what, and start meeting people. I went there, and like five of the eight people that showed up all worked at ThreatLocker, and I was like, huh, I never actually thought about ThreatLocker. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually saw the meetup work because one of the guys that went there, his name's Greg. He was actually a grad from Full Sail, so
yeah.
there was that connection as well. And within like a month, they got him a job, and I was like, oh, you know what? I guess this networking thing really does work. So
That is how you find a job now.
yeah, and
Period.
and then I started following ThreatLocker on LinkedIn, and I saw that they were hosting a free boot camp, and I was like, all right,
Oh yeah, I sent that
free,
to everybody
yeah,
because free training.
yeah, free training. I was like, yep,
I remember you sending me photos like, "Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is?" Like you were so excited.
yeah,
Um, and that's so cool. So
yeah.
what did you learn kind of so obviously so then you basically networked your way into an opportunity and then you continue to kind of give back and kind of grow. What advice would you have for people who are trying to break into this field? Where should they start?
Yeah, I know everybody beats the same drum. It's like networking, networking, networking. That's what everybody says. And literally that's how I wound up getting to where I am now. I just started talking to people, starting to find mentors, people who are in the industry,
Yeah,
just those, little tidbit here, little tidbit from this person, and you just sort of combine all that together. And eventually, it'll pay off. Just keep, and like I said, giving back to people, giving back as well at the same time. Even if you haven't landed your first cyber role, I mean, just start, giving your
yeah,
knowledge as soon as possible. Like I'm meeting tons of people who are, starting my program, the cybersecurity program, and they're just like, I don't even know what I signed up for. I was like, well, there's lots of great resources out there. You should start looking at this, start looking at that.
yeah.
YouTube is a great one. The Ginger Hacker channel, again, he does a lot of great things.
Heck yeah.
Getting into Darknet Diaries, listening to that, and know what you're getting into because it's not for the faint of heart. I mean,
No,
it
I
isn't.
like BowTie Security Guy. I hear that guy's pretty solid
Yeah,
too.
he's really good.
But no, I mean, and that's the thing I think that's really interesting is this is a hard gig, right? It's a lot of sacrifice. You know, are your hours for your first gig going to be 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, Robert?
No. Uh, and the thing is like it's very little time. Like we've been doing this boot camp for the last 6 weeks. It's been from 6 to 8. And now I've also been full time in college. I'm doing two classes this month, so I've got to manage that. On top of that, I have the job now, which is from 6 in the morning to 2:30. So and I just don't have time to drive home after work. So I just have to
Yeah.
literally just sit at work from 2:30 to 6 when the boot camp started. And, I'm out of the house for 16 hours a day just doing cyber right now. And
And
it's
that's the reality.
Mhm.
That's what it takes. That's the sacrifice. I remember when I got my first kind of opportunity to even get an interview for cyber and how hard I hit it. I was just
Mhm.
like, man, I am not going to mess this opportunity up because I was just some punk kid who didn't know anything. And I was trying to get a job in cyber at Disney. I'd been working at the help desk for a while. And I was able to really kind of just push myself and keep challenging myself to kind of get that opportunity. Anybody who listens to this, I won't bore them with it, but it, it it takes a long time and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of cycles. You probably spent a good 100 or 200 hours just meeting people and volunteering. Um, and if you're not willing to put that in, you're not going to break in because the bar to entry is just way too high. It's one of those things that, like, most companies, your current company is definitely not part of this, but most companies are like, hey, your entry level role requires 3 to 5 years experience.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you even get that when you can't even find a job because nobody will give you a chance?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the other things that I've been doing is I've been utilizing every minute of every day. So even on my way to work, I'll sit here and listen to sort of informational stuff. I'll be listening to,
Yep.
the cyber podcasts and things like
Hmm.
that, to keep up with the industry. Every minute of every day is precious, and utilizing that to the most of your ability.
Yeah.
uh, I mean, if you're just sitting there in the car, you could be listening to a podcast or whatever, and
Something
trying to.
growing skills. Yeah.
Hmm.
Or like you, like if you have if I have a down minute, I'm not scrolling and doom scrolling on social media. I might check in because I do have a social media personality, but like I'll check in with my mentees, and then on top of that, I'll be reading the latest security threats, looking at the latest news, looking at the current things that are kind of in my wheelhouse that I'm going to be dealing with, and always kind of having to grow that knowledge. And nobody pays you for that time. Like
Yep.
you're doing that on your leisure, and you have to kind of you have to kind of love this field, I think, to really enjoy it because it is a lot of work.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a crazy amount of work. So you went kind of from the electrician route. Now, one of the things that I saw that was kind of fascinating is you were teaching you took your electrician skills and you're like, you know what? I'm going to teach a soldering class at B-sides and I'm going to teach people to solder. That's a part of hacking, right? Some of the tools that we utilize, if you end up going into penetration testing, you might build your own tools. Soldering is a very cool basic skill. Like, how did you get involved with B-sides? So is that just because it was at Full Sail? You were like, hey, can I come hang out?
No, I mean, like I said, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you got to start volunteering your time," and B-sides is a
Yeah.
great way to do it. So I was like, "All right, well, as soon as I noticed that, B-sides was at my university, I was like, well, I'm definitely going to volunteer for that." And then, they were really struggling to find people with soldering experience, and I was like, as an electrician, I've soldered thousands of joints for ride
Right.
systems at Disney. So I was like, I can teach that. And I was like, yeah, that'll be fine. And so I volunteered for that specifically just because, I have a lot of experience with it and they were really struggling for people. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's something I can do and that's a skill I can pass on to people. And, it's really cool to like teach a class like that and see people's faces light up when their badge starts blinking and everything else because they're just like so excited. They're like, "Oh my God, I did something." It's like, "Yeah, you did really
Yes.
well." So, and that's really rewarding in itself, just teaching someone a new skill. So I've found that quite rewarding as well. So,
And I see you doing it too. Like, and what I want people to understand, like when they're listening to this, like Robert has done what all of you are trying to do, and he took the advice from his mentees, because we all say the same thing. There's not a secret sauce to this. It is literally put in the time, dedicate yourself wholeheartedly to it, and then obsess about it. Like become obsessive about security. Whether you're learning something new, whether you're meeting with people, whatever it may be, put in the cycles to continue to kind of grow that knowledge and it will happen. But you're looking at you dedicated a year and a half of your life. My question to you is, so you've now got this adjusted schedule. You were probably on a pretty sweet schedule being being at Disney for a while.
mhm.
Um, how has that affected your relationship? Like, did you have a conversation with your wife, like, hey, or your girlfriend, like, hey, this is gonna be a thing, and it's gonna take away from time with us, and this is something I want to do. Did you have that conversation when you first started kind of chasing this dream, or was it something you kind of did on your own and kind of thought about after?
No, definitely she was involved. We talked a lot about it, and I was like, this is going to take up a lot of my time for now because landing that initial role, pushing myself as hard as I am to try and break
Yeah.
in, all this time learning. She would sit there and listen to Darknet Diaries with me in the car, and
That's that's
she's
love.
yeah, she's come to appreciate it. There's some really cool stories on there. it's funny actually because B-sides was actually on our anniversary, on our 20th anniversary.
Oh my God, you
And
spent the entire day of B-sides on your anniversary?
yes,
That's the dumb stuff I would do too, chasing
um,
something.
I mean, we obviously celebrated early, but
Of course. Yeah.
I was like, look, this is really important to me. It's important to our future.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do this. We'll celebrate, the week before or whatever. I just, hope you're okay with it. And she's been really supportive,
I
very,
kid.
she's been with me every step of the way. So,
That's
um,
one of the more important aspects, I think, of chasing a job or an entry level role in this market is really the support structure that you have. Because there are days where it just sucks. There are days, I mean, we've had those conversations where you're like, I crushed that interview. Like there's no way. And then you get the news and you're like, what the hell?
yeah.
Like having that support structure and having somebody who kind of is in your corner is the real way of success, right? Because if you don't have that, you're done. Like when I first started in on the incident response team, my first on-call rotation, I worked for 25 days straight or something like that. And my wife, this was right before Christmas. My wife is like, I cannot live like this. Like this is not something. And I said, look, I just need 2 years. Give me 2 years. I'll build a name for myself. This is giving me a ton of visibility at the company. This is giving me a lot of opportunities and it's teaching me a lot of skills. I just need 2 years. And that was 2 years of working on top of trash cans at birthday parties, 2 years of, giving up my time, my weekends, my evenings to an outage, and literally, being on call for a threat. We had a very small team, and we were on call pretty often. And like, I don't know if your new role is an operations role, but like anyone who's chasing the operations aspect of it, like that job can be 24/7, right? It can be a lot of effort and a lot of work. So you have to have that mental fortitude to kind of power through even when you're told no over and over again. How many jobs turned you down before you got this opportunity? What do you think, how many places do you think you applied for, and how many did you actually get to interview at?
I applied for at least 50 to 100 different places,
Yeah.
be it internships or full-time roles for junior roles, things like that.
Mhm.
I only got between now and three interviews.
Yeah.
One I never heard back from because it was government and they were just taking forever, like 2 months. I think after I interviewed, they're still like, we're still in the selection process. I was like,
And that's
okay,
unfortunately really common. Like 3 months right now, from my experience, is how long it takes from when you interview to when you're told.
yep. And then yeah, so and then I placed pretty high with another guy that
You interviewed with me, and
and then
but I mean, I give feedback on the fly, right?
yeah.
And that's unheard of. Like, did you have any other interviewers that literally told you where you went wrong or what you didn't do right, and told you immediately that you were moving forward? Like that
No,
just
no.
no, just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and
Um,
then the other company I interviewed for, they just sent me the standard rejection email. We're not going ahead. No reason, no rhyme. They're just like, no, we're not doing that. I actually had to reach
yeah.
out to the person I interviewed with, and they were like, yeah, we just went with someone with more experience. I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Just knowing that is, peace of mind. And
Knowing that it's not you. That was the
yeah,
big thing for me when I was laid off. Like, did I mess it up? Because I don't think I could have done better.
yeah.
And I think that's the thing that hurts the most. And I feel like that experience of being in a situation where I was, no longer employed, when I was actively kind of struggling and kind of dealing with things, um, gave me the insights really to know how I wanted to interview people in the future.
Mhm.
And I try to create the most humane. interview process around because I know how damaging it is to your mind when you're trying to get those opportunities.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were top 5 out of 15 people, right? Like you crushed it. Um, and that's how the competition is. That's how crazy the competition can be. And you just kept at it. Like you took every no and you learned from it. I always tell people that I don't believe in luck. Really, it's just when opportunity meets preparedness.
Hmm.
And you were prepared. You were ready. What's one thing like now that you've gotten your first gig, what's been the most surprising thing to you that you just didn't really expect?
Um, that so most surprising. People are super helpful, super friendly, in
Right?
the IT field. Everyone I work with is just so friendly, even, up to the directors, the CEOs. Everyone
Yeah.
I've talked to is just great. My interview process with ThreatLocker was amazing. It was a 15-minute interview initially, and they let me know on the spot. They're like, "Yep, you'll be getting a call by the end of the week," which I did. And then I had my technical interview shortly after that, within like 3 or 4 days, and I heard by the end of that week.
What prep did you do for that? How did they give you an idea what you needed to prep for, or did you just kind of prep for everything?
It was actually fortunate because I was also in the boot camp at the same time.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I basically used their boot camp as preparation, and
Heck yeah.
everything that I had to do in my technical interview, I had already done in the boot camp. So like
That's awesome.
they
They
give you a
set you up
two
for success. Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
they gave you a 2 hour window to do the interview, and I finished it within like 45 minutes because I had already knocked stuff out. Like I already knew how to do it. So,
That's
minimal,
awesome.
minimal intervention, minimal searching.
Yeah.
So, and, I believe ThreatLocker plan on doing more of these boot camps in the future. So anyone in the
They
Orlando
are
area,
100%. There's another career thing. I think it's on the 20th
yeah, they're doing
of
another
November.
hiring event.
Another
Yeah.
hiring event, and then I think they're going to do another boot camp too. Like, because that to me was one of the coolest things, and that's what even got me ex that's what got me excited to kind of have them as a sponsor. I have a lot of people who reach out and say, "Hey, we'd love to sponsor you," but like, I have to really believe in the product. And the way that they're giving back is just the most awesome thing. And the irony that like the first kind of interview with sponsorship is one of their employees is just kind of palpable to me. And the fact that it just kind of worked out that way. This was definitely not planned. You had no idea that
No.
it was even happening. I messaged you today and said, "Hey, I need a favor." And you came and you hung out, man. And that's what this is all about. That's what this career field is. It's kind of about adapting and overcoming, about kind of switching things up on the fly, and then also a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And I think you messaged me like after your because like you're a week or two in, you were like, "Wow, there's a lot I don't know."
Yeah,
Like,
it's the drinking from a fire hose thing. It's like we're gonna
yeah,
start throwing everything at you.
yeah,
There's
I
so
I love
many
it.
PowerPoints and everything else you got to get through. Lots of training.
Well,
But you,
and that's the thing, like you're in a place that actually is crazy supportive, but most people it's just like, welcome to the show, you know.
mhm.
Your environment is different because they're very much set up for success. They know exactly what they want. They want the top people, and they also want to make them successful. Like, how many people were in your boot camp? I mean, because they offered this for free.
Uh,
How many people were in it?
I think they started around 100.
Goodness.
It got people started dropping out and things like that. Time commitment, 2 hours a night for 6 weeks is kind of harsh,
It is.
to
Well,
a lot of people.
and not only that, cyber's boring as hell if you don't love it.
I mean, they made it pretty fun.
Oh
The boot
yeah,
the
nice.
boot camp was really cool. You saw like we had hands-on labs with like rubber ducks and different
Oh yeah.
malware and analyzing what it did and using ThreatLocker's EDR and stuff like that to detect it and making rules to deny it and the whole zero trust model is really fascinating, and I can see it's amazing. It works really well.
Yeah, d default deny makes everything much easier.
Oh yeah.
It's something that I know a lot of enterprises do, a lot of MSPs do because they're running it. I've never really had a chance to run it in an environment where I was working, so it'd be an interesting thing to kind of see it. But I've played with the tool and it's a great tool. That's why I'm totally down and excited to have them as a sponsor. But man, I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate being part of your journey because it's just been amazing watching you grow and how quickly you kind of adapted. In every crazy thing I threw at you, you're just like, yeah, I'll do that. I was like, oh, all right, cool, let's go. I appreciate you, man. Anyone else out there listening, do what he did. Check out Robert's stuff. Check out ThreatLocker. Check out their careers page at threatlocker.com/careers. Set up a demo if you're a company at threatlocker.com/demo. They're a great place to work, and Robert's a great example of how they really take in new talent and really help grow, foster it, and mentor it. And good luck out there.